I'm Jen Nuncio, a park naturalist for Game Fish and Parks of South Dakota, and we're at Goodard State Park. Summertime is a great time to have an outdoor campfire, so today I'm going to teach you how to do an outdoor campfire at a South Dakota State Park. When you visit a South Dakota State Park, whether it's for camping or day use, you are able to have campfires. Now, when you're at the state parks, you do need to be inside a designated fire ring to do that, so then you're already set up to go for your groundwork and what you need. So when you're going to start your fire, you need to gather some supplies. You're going to need to have some tinder, which is that small fluffy stuff for the fire. You're going to need some kindling, which are the next bigger sticks, and then you're going to need some fuel to get those going. And you're going to arrange those inside your campfire so that you can get your fire going. Now you can have two different types of fire. If you're going to cook on them, you might want to make a teepee frame that we're going to show you here, or you might want to make a log cabin if you're just going to have some s'mores and have some fire around your campsite. So when you come camping, you might have different ways of starting your fire. So we've got a few primitive ways that we can do it, and then the traditional way. If you want to be old school like the pioneers did, you might use flint and steel, where you use a rock and a piece of steel, and you're going to strike the rock onto the steel to create some sparks. A more modern way of the same type of thing is a fire stick, where you have a fire rod here and then a scraper, and again you're going to scrape it, all in trying to get that spark to start the fire. Both of these ways work great, and they're waterproof if they were to get wet, but they're not always the easiest way. So I always recommend having a lighter or some matches with you so that you can start your fire without any complications. So whatever way you want to start your fire, you have to start off with your tinder, which is going to be your smallest piece of material to start your fire. If you're using flint and steel, you might need to use a little bit of char cloth, but what I like to use that's an economical way is you take an egg carton and you fill it full of dryer lint, and then you add some wax to that. And one little cup is going to start our whole campfire. So we're going to place that in there first. And today we're going to be making a cooking campfire, so that means we're going to be making a teepee. So your next part that you're going to need are your kindling, which are the smaller sticks, about smaller than your finger. You're going to break those up. Now, fun fact about South Dakota State Parks is that you cannot collect firewood or kindling from the parks themselves. So you'll need to bring everything with you. And if you bring in firewood, it needs to be certified firewood, because we do have that emerald ash borer beetle out there. So you can purchase your firewood at most South Dakota State Parks if there's a campground. Otherwise, you just need to bring in that certified wood. So we're going to get that going with our kindling and our tinder, and then we're going to make a teepee type structure so that we can cook with it. So we're going to just start stacking them up so that they are nice and going. You need to make sure you have airflow going through that fire. Fire needs air and fuel to get going. We're just going to keep stacking those up. We want our smaller sticks underneath to keep going. The reason I like that fire starter on the bottom is that wax keeps that fire going, or the fire starter going for quite a long time, so that you have that time to get those other pieces going. The dryer lint catches really quick, gets that fire going, and so you can get everything going. You want to keep feeding that fire, don't let it go out. Make sure your firewood is dry. You don't want it to be wet, otherwise it won't burn. And you don't want to add too much too soon, otherwise you can smolder it too. I'll show you a log cabin off to the side here. Just like it kind of sounds. You stack a couple logs one direction, go this way, and then you would put your kindling and your tinder right in the middle of the cabin. And that kind of fire is going to burn a little bit longer and not as hot. Whereas if we're going to cook on that fire, we want it to be nice and hot. Once you get your fire going, you never want to leave it unattended. There should always be somebody responsible around the fire to watch out for it. Make sure nobody's ever playing around your campfire. They can be very hot and very dangerous. Even after they've kind of died down a little bit, they're still hot for quite a while. Make sure you're always keeping your fire within the fire rings that are provided. Don't ever do them down by the river or by the water source or in a day use area unless there's a designated fire ring there. You don't always necessarily need a giant fire, especially if you're just going to be cooking a few s'mores. You can have a smaller fire that you can manage. You don't need to have a great big flaming. You never want to exceed your fire ring. Don't fill the whole thing with fire and get it going. It's not going to be safe for anybody around there. Now that we have our fire going, we're going to do some cooking on there. So we're going to let that cook down to some hot coals, and then we'll teach you how to do some Dutch oven cooking. So I hope you've enjoyed learning about campfires. Be safe out there, but have fun, and come out and enjoy our South Dakota State Parks.